1 p.m. I hereby call to order the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Groveland, Florida. Thank you for joining us for the city's Planning and Zoning Board meeting. On behalf of myself, the Vice Chair, all board members and staff, we hope you and your families are well. All votes will be received by roll call vote. For board discussion, I will call on each board member individually to avoid members talking over one another. We will also be taking public comments during the meetings as well. At this time, Maria, will you please call the roll?
Chair Zach Decker. Here. Vice Chair Robin Hoover.
Here.
Board Member Carrie Lambert. Board Member Stephen Shakowski.
Here.
Board Member Alicia Garcia.
Here.
Board Member Lindsay Crum.
Here.
Board Member Mike Archer.
Here.
Non-voting member Bill Mathias. He's absent. Community and Economic Development Director Tim Maslow.
Here.
City Attorney Anita Gerasi Carver.
Here.
Recording Secretary Maria Ramirez. Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. If you will, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Maria, will you please read the consent agenda item?
The consent agenda is consideration of approval for June 5th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Board meeting minutes.
We have a motion to accept the consent agenda item.
I'll motion
We have
to
a
accept
second.
the consent agenda. Second.
Thank you. Okay, I'll call the vote. Robin Hoover,
Aye.
Carrie Lambert, Stephen Shilkovsky,
Aye.
Lindsay Crum,
Aye.
Alicia Kissy Garcia,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye.
Mike.
I'm sorry, Mike, you were not on my list. Michael Archer as well. Aye. Thank you. Got a typo. We also had Bob Proper on here. That's okay, though. All right, moving on to new business. Before we begin our new business, just so everyone knows, we've revised slightly the flow of presentation by planning department, the applicant's presentation, public discussion, and the motion. So we're going to have the planning and zoning will present, the planning staff, and then the applicant can present, then there will be public comment, and then public comment will close. We'll have discussion and a motion and vote. Understood? Thank you. All right, new business. Item 1, recommendation of approval on ordinance 2025-9. Maria, will you please read the title?
Yes. Recommendation of approval on ordinance 2025-9, Dennis Galassi Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. Ordinance 2025-9, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.3187, 1 Florida statutes by amending the Florida land use plan designation from the City of Groveland agriculture to the City of Groveland established neighborhood on the future land use map for the herein described properties consisting of 3.0 acres, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability and scrivener errors, providing for an effective date, and providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the State of Florida Department of Economic Opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Booker.
So good evening, Planning and Zoning Board members. My name is Alan Booker, Senior Planner with the City of Groveland. So tonight we'll begin with the first item, which is Ordinance 2025-9, which for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, because it's under 50 acres. So that's why it's considered small-scale. If it was greater than 50 acres, then it's a much longer process. It has to be reviewed by multiple agencies. So the applicant is Denise Galassi, and we're talking about, Dennis Galassi for parcel A. So the previous meeting, the previous planning and zoning board meeting, we discussed parcel B, which is to the west side. This time we'll be talking about parcel A. The existing future land use is currently agriculture, and the requested future land use is established neighborhood. The general location is just north of State Road 50 and west of Timberlake Village, and this piece is approximately 2.71 acres, more or less. So here's the parcel has it's not currently available yet on the property appraiser because there was a delay. So here is highlighted in red is parcel A. This is the parcel that we are discussing tonight. So like we said, the current zoning is agriculture. It is less than 5 acres, so that would make it non-conforming, and that's the reason we need to look for a solution. And the requested would be for a low-density residential, which requires at least 7,500 square feet, which is obviously it's much greater. And as we can see right now, I kept the parcel to the right, to the west, which is in green in agriculture, because it hasn't been approved yet. This is what we discussed. The previous one, it has to go to city council, and the parcel that's highlighted in black is the current one that we're talking about tonight, that is established neighborhood. So staff has deemed the application sufficient for review and recommends approval of ordinance 2025-9.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to make a comment? No, not necessary. We dealt with parcel B on the last meeting. Is there any public comment? Okay, public comment is closed. This is regarding the parcel A. Okay, if you can please come to the microphone and state your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. I am here on behalf of the residents on Timber Village Road. We are just a little concerned about what the future plans are regarding the employment center and the traffic that it's going to bring to the neighborhood, the trash that it's going to bring to the neighborhood, because we already have a huge issue with that down at the corner of 50 and Timber Village Road. I have been a resident there since 2002. I bought the property because it was a nice, quaint little neighborhood. The street isn't even a mile long, okay? So I would ask you to please consider, I mean, I'm not against what Mr. Galassi wants to do with his property, that's his business, but we are property owners and taxpayers as well. So we should have a say in what goes in front of us, okay? And if you're going to put an employment center in front of us, that means more traffic, that means our property values are going to decrease. Okay, and it takes away from the livelihood of the community. So I would ask you to consider what parcel you might put there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, today we're discussing the parcel A, which is changing to low-density residential, so there should be no concerns about the employment center designation there. Is there any discussion from, public comment is now closed. Is there any discussion from the board? I'll call each of you individually. Robin?
No.
Okay. Alicia?
No.
Lindsay?
No.
Michael? Nope. Stephen?
I did have something, just because I think there's some confusion on what this is, because I had a few residents that also reached out on the same topic. So it might be helpful if the applicant wanted to say what happened previously, and then what this is, because I have heard a lot about traffic and employment center, so I don't know if that's okay or how we want to do that, just because I have had several people reach out, and I think there's some misunderstanding about the parcel.
Yeah, if the applicant would like to clarify what we did with this parcel previously, the lot split and the change in future land use and zoning that we did last month.
I'm Dennis Galassi, 14925 Timber Village Road. I think what you're concerned about with the employment center, it has nothing to do with Timber Village Road. Okay, the piece of property that has to do with employment center is behind me. It's all on the west side. It's not even gonna be on Highway 50, Timber Village Road. So that's not gonna affect no traffic. It's not gonna affect the traffic that's already on the road, which is bad. Trust me, I was born and raised out there on a dirt road, and it's not nowhere even close. So I think the confusion is that you thought the whole front is gonna be a you know. I think we all thought that. Yes, no. And I think what happened with the confusion is the signs that are posted out there, they don't represent what we're doing right now.
Gotcha.
Okay, so the signs are posted, but there's a sign, the signs are posted for my property that we're doing, and there's signs posted for the people that are gonna buy the piece of property behind me, because they're getting their property changed. They're trying to annex, they're trying to get their all the property, what do you call the name for it? Put together.
Industrial zone?
Yeah, we did a rezoning and
Yeah.
a future land use change.
Right.
So to clear it up.
Right.
The property in green to the left. And
Yes.
kind of the L-shaped property to the right.
Yes.
Was previously one parcel.
Yes,
There was a minor lot split performed to split these two parcels at the administrative level with staff.
Yeah.
And the parcel that's in green now stating agriculture, actually last month was changed to employment center.
yes,
And so the parcel we're discussing now is that
Parcel
kind of
A.
L-shaped parcel. And really what we're doing here is conforming to the surrounding area with that designation there. And we have to do it because of the
Losing
lot
ag-
split and the change in
right,
future
because of
land
loss
use.
of agriculture.
Tim, do you want to clear anything else up there?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's probably worth mentioning to everybody here that the existing building, from what we understand, are under contract to purchase this additional land
Right.
so they could expand just to have storage behind Mr. Galassi's property.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, we did discuss that in
And
detail.
the owners were here with me, last month when we
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah, so we don't think this is going to affect the residents. We've already changed the agriculture to employment center, and that, the city was told that would be used for storage for the existing operating business that's already there. So, thank you
All right.
for helping clear that up. Okay, do you have anything else?
No,
to-
I think that cleared it up for the resident too,
Okay.
so.
Yes, thank you for requesting that, Stephen. The chair has no other comments. Do we have a motion to approve the ordinance 2025-9?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I will now call for the vote. Robin Hoover?
Aye.
Carrie Lambert? Not here. Stephen Shylkovsky?
Aye.
Lindsay Crum?
Aye.
Alicia Garcia?
Aye.
Michael Archer? Aye. And the chair votes aye. Okay. Item number 2, recommendation of approval on ordinance 2025-10. Maria, will you please read the title?
Ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, to change the zoning from the City of Groveland Agriculture to the City of Groveland Low-Density Residential for the herein described property owned by Dennis M. and Maxine D. Galassi, located at 14925 Timber Village Road, Groveland, Florida, lying west of Timber Village Road, north of State Road 50, east of Sampy Road, and south of Ed Douglas Road, directing the city manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided after the passage of this ordinance, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for scrivener errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Booker?
So moving to item number 2 with the rezoning. So in this case, the applicant is once again Dennis Galassi. The existing zoning is agriculture, and the proposed zoning is low-density residential. So the request is to rezone from agriculture to low-density residential. The property is located, once again, on State Road 50, west of Timber Village Road, and it's 2.71 acres. Just a quick side note, we always do the future land use first because that's kind of the vision of what it could be. And the rezoning is more like it's tied to our code and how we apply, like, you know, it could be even tied to code enforcement. This is what it really is right now. And those two have to match. They have to be consistent with one another. So that's why it's a two-step process, so, I mean, at times. So in this case, now coming back to this application, now we have to evaluate the rezoning. So if you look at what's around, so the property to the south was already light industrial, it has low-density residential to the east in yellow, and to the north you had more of a moderate density residential with an existing subdivision. And at this present time, it's agriculture to its west, but that's the part that we covered last P&Z with, to have this expansion to light industrial in the back of the property. And in this case, we're only talking about the front. So it will be the request is for low-density residential. This piece of the property, when I checked the National Wetland Inventory Database, which is like a guideline, it's not perfect, there's no wetland on this piece, and it's outside the floodplains. And the staff recommendation, we've deemed this application sufficient for review and recommend approval of ordinance 2025-10 for Dennis Galassi for parcel A.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any further comments regarding the rezoning? No. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. All right, is there any discussion? I'll go in the same order here. Robin Hoover? No. Alicia?
No.
Lindsay?
No.
Michael?
No.
Stephen?
No.
All right, and the chair has no other comments. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I will now call for the vote. Robin?
Aye.
Carrie? Not here. Stephen?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Alicia?
Aye.
Michael? Aye. And the chair votes aye. All right, item number 3, recommendation of approval on ordinance 2025-11. Maria, will you please read the title?
Ordinance 2025-11, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.3187 Florida statutes by amending the future land use map plan designation from the Lake County rural transition to the City of Groveland established neighborhood on the future land use map for the herein described properties, consisting of 0.6582 acres, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, repealing all ordinances in the conflict herewith, providing for severability and scrivener errors, providing for an effective date, and providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the State of Florida Department of Economic Opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Booker?
Before we start, there's gonna be 3 items that are coming up: a small-scale comprehensive plan, a rezoning, and a special exception use application. Those 3 are actually been requested concurrently, so they're actually tied as one. I mean, we're gonna have 2 ordinance and a resolution. So I just wanna start with that in the beginning. Before we dive into this application, I wanted to give an important clarification due to public feedback. I wanted to clarify from a procedural point regarding the notice, the mail notice specifically. This property, there was a minor lot split that had been approved administratively by staff, which have been posted on site, but the mailed notice for the lot split are pending our final attorney review before everything is going to be mailed out and sent. So the application tonight, the notice is based on the part of the Palisade that is just the property in question, not the entire old golf course. It's just a specific property. So, we're talking about the overview. As we can see on the subject property, it's that little spot in red, which is 0.653, 0.658 acres, more or less. The applicant is Brett Jones, PA, and the existing future land use is currently Lake County Rural, and the proposed future land use is established neighborhood. As a side note, this property, the overall golf course was annexed into the city of Groveland, but upon further research, we could not find that it had been provided a future land use, so it's kind of floating out there with the Lake County Rural current future land use. So in this application, the request is to assign this location as an established neighborhood. The location is on the south side of Cherry Lake Road, and as I said, the acreage is approximately 0.658 acres, more or less. A Palisade community meeting on April 15, 2025 at 6:30. So the location was the Palisades Clubhouse, and trying to deal with revitalizing the maintenance building and also discussing this as an automotive professional office with no retail, and discuss like improvement, like new landscaping, roof, repainting. This was that meeting. There was a little bit of two sides to this meeting, so that we have feedback from the community Palisades. They really want to see revitalization, and they're ready for the public hearing. They want to enhance the neighborhood. And we also have to look at the other side, which is some in the communities also feel that maybe the building could be relocated, perhaps destroyed and demolished. There's also potential traffic concerns that was brought out between Cherry Lake Road and Apshawa Road. So moving back to the proposed future land use. So once again, this is the subject property. It's established neighborhood currently, and it's surrounded by the Lake County Rural, which to our code would be more like an established neighborhood. And to the north, you also have this one piece of established neighborhood, and in green, it's actually agriculture. I do believe these are technically in unincorporated Lake County. Technical difficulty. There we go. So staff deemed the application sufficient for review and recommends approval of ordinance 2025-11.
It? Okay, thank you. Mr. Brooker, can you clarify for everyone here, the Palisades is a little bit tricky on understanding what it is, where it is, who, what are the city limits? Can you catch us up to speed real quick on that front?
So yeah, it's a great question. So in this case, sometimes, you look at your address and you say, oh, I'm in Claremont, I'm in Groveland, but are you really? Because it's like if you call the police, or who is it? Is it the police or the sheriff? That's always your first clue. So in this case, the Palisade, if you look, the main neighborhood is actually in Lake County. So if you call, typically it would be the sheriff. But your mailing address is Claremont. And The other thing too is this entire property is technically in our interlocal service agreement boundary, ISBA for short. So potentially the people in this area could someday, if they wanted to, they have the chance to annex and be part of our Groveland. So that's a little bit of the background with, and then the golf course, going back to the golf course in this piece. So this is actually in the city, but as I was saying earlier, it does not have a future land use and rezoning, which is a little bit complicated. It's not ideal. It really should have our own city code one way or the other. It really should have a city future land use.
Okay, thank you. Does the applicant wish to make a comment? No. Okay. Is there any public comment regarding this item?
Alan Joyce asked, my address is protected from the state. Palisades wants to do a rezone. They also want to do a land use amendment of the old maintenance shed and the septic system that sits in a flood zone next to a lake. It does not benefit the lake, nature, or us. It does not protect our peace or our property values, and it does not improve our quality of living. Palisades is a beautiful single-family home neighborhood with 522 homes, and they enforce their HOA requirements on every home except for the Beast. Over the past 5 years, Palisades this many legal actions on people who don't abide by their requirements and their obligations. However, they have us deal with this beast all this time for 5 years without doing anything about it. Palisades has very good people living in Palisades, but they have had us look at this dilapidated, rotted building for 5 years. Brett Jones represents Palisades. He's awesome, he knows the system, the right people, and he's great at what he does. So obviously we feel we might lose this, unless you give us a fair shot. Palisades asked Groveland to help them keep their 200 acres of green space from rezoning and development, and Groveland saved them. Palisades is doing this to us, and they're doing the same thing to us that they asked Groveland to save them from. Instead of spending $48 a home to tear this down. This is what we call the beast in our neighborhood. They want to rezone the beast. They want to make sure they cannot see the beast from their side of the lake. They want to make sure the office building has no interest into Palisades that they're asking for. They want to make sure the property is out of sight and out of mind. However, the building will be at our entrance, like it's been for 5 years, for us to deal with in the future. 10 years ago, Groveland rezoned the property across the street from the beast from rural zoning to medium density. From rural zoning to medium density, without mailing letters to the neighbors or posting signs to the neighbors. I met with Groveland staff after that, and they apologized for that mistake. Now, Groveland is using the same mistake to compare to the rezoning request for the beast to low density. This is wrong, and one mistake should not be rewarded with another mistake. Groveland's future land use map does not show this site for business use. Groveland wants us, and Groveland is a city of natural charm and wants quality of living. For $48, tear down the beast. Groveland's strategic plan wants to conserve 50% of the natural land. Tear down the beast. Page 15 of Groveland's Community Development Code states, minor lot splits shall not be approved within a platted subdivision when it would change the character of the subdivision. A business changes the character of this subdivision. Tear down the beast. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment regarding the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment?
I'm Susan Ducey. I live at 139 Harvest Gate Boulevard. And I want to be against this because it's going to come out into our neighborhood. They're going to hide it, and they're pushing it out to us. There's going to be people that are going to be driving by and go, oh, I missed the entrance, and they will be turning around in our neighborhood, which is definitely not fair to the people that live at the entrance of the neighborhood. So we're going to be seeing people driving by. There'll be people coming into our neighborhood that were not invited into our neighborhood. We don't know who they'll be. Also, there's going to be having lights. They'll have to have lights on all night if it's an office building. Also, there's a possibility that what could be in there could be a dentist's office or a lawyer's office, or they could have different businesses that way, and they could put in this size lot if they had like a strip mall type of buildings. They could have 2 or 3 different buildings, dog groomers or whatever that could go into that small business area. And that would also create more traffic, and they're going to pave it, and it's just going to be a thing that we're going to have to look at, and it's not our property. And when we were at the meeting at the Palisades, there were many people at the Palisades that said, we would pay the money to tear it down. We would like it to be a green space. Let's reconsider. I don't know if they ever had another meeting, not sure. But obviously, it was not reconsidered. And we're going to be, it's like they're pushing it out onto us, and then they're going to ignore it. I think that they should not be able to do that to us. They need to leave it a green space, tear down the building, and let some of the residents there that wanted a green space, they could walk their dog or they could go there, and to reconsider the pollution possibilities. There was gasoline in there, then they're going to put a parking lot in there now, and I did not see an environmental impact statement. I don't know if there was one posted or something, but I did not get that in my list of things. And also, it's a clarification, I wasn't sure. I looked up what proposed less out meant, and all I could find was that it's just not in the normal survey, or what is a proposed less out? I didn't know what that was. So I saw that on the plans here. So I would say, I would ask if you would not approve this, have them tear it down, and they can take care of their property, because it's not my responsibility to take care of what they left behind. And so I would hope that you would say that you do not approve this and don't think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We've got one here making his way up, and then we'll take turns.
Gregory Ducey, that was my wife. We live in that square area right next to it, way up in the corner on the left side, so we would be definitely impacted to some degree. My address is 139 Harvest Gate Boulevard, Groveland, Florida. And what I thought, why don't they put a house there if they want? Because it's 2/3 of an acre. I live on a 1/3 of an acre lot. So they could put 2 houses in that area if they wanted to put houses in there rather than a business. The other thing is, if you notice this little stop sign here, that's a bus stop, which is right across the street from where they're going to put their business. I don't think they should put a business there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Ernie Kirkland. I'm a Palisades resident, and a little history of the property itself. I moved in 2010. In 2012, I had a handshake agreement to buy the golf course. The gentleman, Joseph Bonanno, decided it wasn't enough. We spent the next 6 years fighting him. And 10 years ago, from probably within a week now, we had 300 people from Palisades in this building wearing red shirts for a council meeting where they were going to annex the property into Groveland so that he could build 767 additional homes on the golf course. There's 226 acres involved, includes a 40-some acre lake. Some of the statements they make are they're misinformed, okay? And it's a good thing you've got that going, because people know me, will tell me that I'll run out of time long before I run out of words. There was an environmental study done. Groveland had to do it in order to acquire the property because there was an existing usage of the building that allowed oil and gas. It was a maintenance shed for the golf course. When we acquired it, our intent was, at least my intent was, that we would have a golf course. That hasn't happened. The building has no use for us. It really has no use for us. We looked, and to tear the building down, if you can tear it down and get rid of the material that's in it, it's going to cost us more than the building is worth if we refixed it. So that's why it's not. We have a gentleman willing to buy it. We think it is. And I don't disagree that you don't want an eyesore across the street from you, but that's what you have, is an eyesore. And the secondary thought we had was we were going to make a storage facility there for the HOA, which we can do in our existing. It's part of the original PUD of Lake County. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do any of that, really. But here's the key. What we're trying to do is improve the looks of the property. Groveland got the property through us. We didn't buy the property through Groveland. We had the right of first refusal. When Groveland was trying to buy it for $2.3 million, they were trying to abate a $4 million water issue that they had going on at that time. We didn't need the water. We could get water through Lake Minneola. We have a permit through Lake Minneola. We have the well. We didn't need it. So the agreement was agreed to that we would acquire the property the moment that you all got it, which was 2018. We didn't get the property until 2019 because in the middle of the time, you all decided you want to annex it. And you had some other issues you wanted to do, which is fine. You know, it's water under the bridge. But the big line is 2020 hit, COVID hit. You couldn't even get workers in to work on the building. We worked as much as we could. We have put over $1 million. We put over $1 million in the clubhouse, and we will continue to improve the property. We would ask that you recognize that it's our property, and their short-sightedness is what I use for lack of a better word. Short-sightedness of the view is going to be more than definitely taken care of by the new property that's going to be there. Thank you very much, and thank you for your effort.
Any other public comment?
Hello, good evening. My name is Alejandra Joyce, and my address is protected by law. And I would just like to give you guys the input. I am speaking against all three of Palisades' proposals. A, it does not benefit the neighborhood, like at all. B, it does not increase neighborhood pride or home values. C, it does not improve quality of living, which is the reason why we all moved to that area, is because of our quality of living, and it definitely does not improve it. I think the Beast should be torn down and kept as green space, as we all have voiced our opinion. If this board is determined to approve Palisades' request, I have the following proposal. Now hear me out. Number one, require a 6-foot-tall privacy hedge planted on top of a 3-foot-tall berm to block the view, the entire front of the building. Now you guys have to visualize this because I believe it's perfect. Number two, require a ban on signs or advertisements. Number three, require no parking in front of the fence line and the right-of-way. Now, my hope is that you can treat us like Groveland treated Palisades and stop this rezoning request. If you insist on approving the request, I have written down more details of my hedge, signs, and parking proposal and would like to give the details to you. May I hand it to you?
I think that needs to go to staff first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's pretty long.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good evening. My name is Bruce Berger, 9724 Spring Lake Drive. I'm the current president of the Palisades HOA. Just a couple points. First of all, this maintenance building was constructed in 1991. So I would have to believe that that building existed when most, if not all, the people up in the West Apshawa area purchased and built their houses. So to tear it down, it was there before they were there. Second of all, the condition that the building is in today is the condition that we received it when we purchased the property from the city of Groveland. If you look at the 2020 aerials, you will see the holes in the roof. You will see the camper that was parked back there. You will see the overgrowth. That's the way we received it when we purchased it from you. As far as low density, the house that's right across the street from there was rezoned for low density. It is up to 5 rental properties that are on there. There may be 7 if you look at the aerials, but there's only supposed to be 5. I understand their concerns, but if your neighbor's gonna paint his house and you don't like the color, how much say do you have in that? They are not vested interest. They don't have a vested interest in this other than viewing it. There are 521 homeowners. Over 300 homeowners voted to sell that building. 7 voted no. And to the lady who was at the meeting at our clubhouse, there were 3 homeowners who said maybe we should have tore the building down. There are still over 300 people that believe we should sell the building. Thank you.
Any other public comment? None. Public comment is closed. Is there any discussion among the board? I will go this way first. Since Stephen has had some conversations, I'll begin with Stephen.
So just a quick question. What was the timeline that we were looking with? And I don't know if anyone wants to answer, if the staff has the answer. What's the timeline from where it currently is to no longer being the eyesore?
Brett Jones, 700 Alma Street, Claremont. We talked about this. I don't remember where we landed. Was it me and you or me and Dwayne?
We have some proposed conditions with the special exception in terms of the timing that the city would recommend as a condition of approval tied to the special exception for that use. We could pull that up if you're trying to refer to that.
Yeah.
I think it was 12 months. Within 12 months it needs to be.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, yeah. So I think it's 12 months. That sounds right to me.
And then speaking to staff, there was some discussions on buffers and different items. Has there been any changes or any to the applicant of additional buffers or anything like that?
Sure, there's already been quite a bit of cleanup, actually by the person that's under contract to buy it and that wants to renovate the building, bring it up to code. He's understand, and I've gone through the landscaping code. I've actually shown him the proposed landscaping code, which is not yet adopted, and said he's gonna have to spend some money to bring it up to the actual Groveland code, which it doesn't meet right now. So he's completely fine with that, and he understands that the code will be forthcoming.
And then speaking to staff and the comments about traffic, this would be not a customer-facing business, meaning not like a nail salon or anything like that, that you're gonna have constant
That's
in
right.
and out.
Yes, there's no retail component at all.
That was my main.
Thank you, Stephen. Michael?
That was my question. It said non-retail automotive, coming from an automotive background, so this is gonna serve the golf course? Is that?
No, to make a long story short, I don't know if you're a license holder in the automotive, but you have to have a place to hang your license, and that's what it's for.
Okay.
And if you're an automotive unit, you have to have a fence around the building, and you have to have 2 parking spaces. It's just the DBPR standard for the state of Florida.
Lindsay?
So, sorry, I know we're on the rezoning, but all of us are actually talking about the so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I am not an automotive expert, so I know he has to hang his license there, but is this something where, like, down the road, he's like, hey, I don't wanna hang my license here anymore, can he, as the owner, turn it into units where people can have businesses? I think that's probably a concern of the residents.
It's a good question. Yeah, I think that's one of the actual components of the exception. I'll pull up the package, but it does limit it to staff recommendation.
So like if he were to want to do that, and it
Yeah.
would have to come to
It would-
PNC.
it would have to be
and,
another-
okay, so he would have to propose that.
Yes.
So then, okay, that was one of my questions. I think that's it.
All right,
In terms of like storage or anything like that, is there something that would be visible to the public for automotive? I know it's, what you're saying is just a place for the license to be held, but down the future, if he needs to put something there, is there something going to be visible to the public in that space?
No, and in fact, this person is we're saying automotive, but it's big trucks that wouldn't even fit there. But that's absolutely a condition of this.
Okay,
No storage.
no storage. And for the staff, could you maybe walk us through your thought process on the approval? Does it meet like the, the standards of what you would be considering?
Sure, yeah. First and foremost, our goal as a city is to see the property cleaned up. So if it's going to be renovated, it needs a land use assigned to that. If it was demolished, we'd be perfectly fine with that as well, just to be okay with that. The applicant has come forth, they want to sell the property for this use. Special exception to us assigned with that low-density residential seemed to make the most logical sense. It would be nice to actually show that slide perhaps, Alan, because I think we're all kind of going there, even though I know we're on the future land use amendment. So we could walk through what those special exception conditions the staff is proposing. Because staff understands in this location, obviously there's no compatible businesses around there, traffic concerns, making sure that the property is, well maintained, and once it's renovated, it actually looks good and it's not an eyesore. So I'll just go ahead and read through these conditions, Alan, unless you want to read them, up to you. Okay, I'll help you out. Okay. So the first bullet is the office shall operate only between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. The use shall be limited to professional office operations with no outdoor storage or commercial vehicle parking. Site development shall be subject to site development plan review and comply with applicable design and zoning standards in our community development code. Specifically complying with our Florida vernacular architectural section. We recognize the recommended condition of having no signage. We would be perfectly fine with that condition if the board also recommended having no signage. Since there's no customer interface, I think that'd be totally acceptable from staff's perspective. And then this gets in the time frame because our staff's concern was, say this was approved by city council, and then for whatever reason, in terms of contractual issues or whatever reason at all, the building just sat there and there was no activity. Personally, we'd hate to see that. So we added some time constraints, a building permit within the 90 days of approval of this resolution. So that would be the resolution being approved by city council. That 90-day clock would start at that point. Construction would have to commence within 120 days of the approval, with 30 days of issuance of the building permit by the city, whichever occurs first, and pursued with due diligence thereafter until complete. And then finally, construction must be complete within 12 months of the approval of this resolution. Those were some dates and timeframes that we shared with the applicant, Brett Jones, on this, just again to make sure that if this is approved, it's done in a timely manner.
Can I jump in on one thing to add to Tim? Something that we never talked about because it's not one of the recommendations to have no signage, but Florida law for this automotive thing, you have to have 2 parking spaces, you have to have the fence, and you have to have a sign. So you have if you haven't looked at it, look at your community development code. You have a really thoughtful sign ordinance in there with pictures. So we'll adhere to that, but I can't have the no sign thing because then he won't be able to do his licensor thing there.
I will add that our signage types, especially in areas like this that are not on a arterial roadway that has heavy traffic, are they're meant to be very pedestrian-friendly and small scale. It's actually one of our most common complaints that we get as a staff is our signage code is limited in terms of size.
So with this being the time constraints put in here, what were to happen if those deadlines were not met?
You'd lose your special exception.
Okay. And is there anything in for like the future use regarding like, so there are time restraints here, but moving forward in like years down the line, it would still have to comply with these restrictions here as well, correct? Okay.
These restrictions would have to carry with whatever property owner. So say if it changed hands in a sale, they would still have to comply with a special exception if it's approved by city council.
Okay.
Yeah, and if they were proposing any change to it, it would have to go back through city council for an amendment in the future.
Okay. And planning and zoning as well?
As a recommendation, yes.
Okay. That's it for me. Thank you.
Robin?
Thank you, Zach. Okay, so I have a couple questions. According to property cards, there are technically 4 buildings on this parcel. One from 91, one from 97, one from 98, and one from 2000. Are those other buildings still existing? Are they considered separate in that one? How exactly does that work?
I don't think that's accurate. Are you confident? And I don't know that, but I think there's only one building on this.
Everything that was provided to us through staff had 3 buildings, or 4 buildings.
If you look at the map, I can ask one of the folks, yeah, can you help? Additions? Those are the clubhouse. Oh, that's what it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the property card has the entire,
yeah,
so the
remember when
original would be the
this was
building
parcel,
one from
yeah.
91 that the
That's
president
it, yeah.
mentioned.
That-
Okay.
That's because it's all one large
And that was
site.
always considered a warehouse property, and that was 4,360 feet originally on that property card. I like the fact someone mentioned on the planning and zoning application that it is currently on a septic tank, but they are going to city sewer according to that application. That is correct. So we're getting off the septic tank on the lake, on Spring Lake, I believe, correct? Spring Lake? Okay. The bus stop, I was at the meeting that day. 299 voted yes and 7 no is the number that I was told that day. With, of course, Palisades residents knowing that that was always a commercial property. The biggest thing for me that I looked into was the school bus. I went on, once again, to the Eagle Eye View through Lake County Property Appraisers. It's not even, the link isn't even present, so I couldn't even pull up where this bus stop was. So I was glad that actually one of the residents mentioned that today, that it's right across the street. Because that 8 a.m. start time, I don't know if you've ever pulled into that building, which I did after the meeting. It's very steep. There's a deep incline where that fence, of course, is up and closed at the current point. But it makes me slightly nervous because at 8 o'clock when business hour opens, that's usually about the time everybody's right there at that bus stop possibly. So I would love to see if we could work somehow, maybe with Lake County Public Schools, maybe to slide that back or to another location for traffic calming measures and more safety for the kids out there, especially in the winter when it's pitch black out at that time of the morning going to school. So for me, that was one of my biggest things. I also had questions about contaminations in tests because we didn't see any of that. If we were looking at brownfield area possibly down the line, or if that was something that, just wanted to throw that out there and ask that question. Public input, obviously, we have more people in this building today than we have in a long time at a planning and zoning meeting. So when I've been reading through all of Alan's, things recently that he sent through, that public input, it keeps coming back on this. They also mentioned, I believe the owner was there that night at the meeting, mentioned an internet business as part of his sales, is partly internet. So does that mean that you won't have any customers per se going in and out, but it means that you'll have Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and any other entity that may be bringing in and out parts consistently? Big
Yeah, it's-
trucks possibly?
It's a great question. The best way I could describe it is imagine you wanted to buy what the guy sells, which again is tractor trailers. You go on the website and you buy the tractor trailers on his website. So it's not an internet, it's not a repair shop. He doesn't get things delivered.
There's
So
no
the
product.
mailman, like the mailman goes everywhere, will
Yeah.
go there, but that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's no big product that'd be coming in and going
No,
out?
and-
Paperwork, basically?
No inventory coming in, no
Coming in.
inventory storage, no inventory going out, none of that stuff.
Okay.
It's just an office building.
Okay. Let me double check and make sure. There was talk about an HOA survey that was completed. That was one of the things that day, and I was just curious about that. It was a question that night at the meeting. Does that ring a bell for anything? About
Could
any-
you refresh my memory or
Yeah.
give me anything else? What do you mean by that?
Yeah,
Because to the
I wrote it down. It was something to do with the lot split PUD amendment application and that the HOA survey had been completed.
Sure, yeah, that relates to the fact that the HOA, whenever it does anything, just like the city has to have a city council vote, because
Yeah.
that's the board of directors for the city, the HOA needs to have a membership vote, so they have to send out notices and handle all that stuff, so that's what that relates to.
That's where that came from, okay.
It's the official permission to
Okay.
act as
And
an
then
HOA.
last but not least, one of the comments that night was the next property for first refusal to the Palisades Board. So I'm curious to see if that was part of this, because it was talked about that night as, I know it said it was already under contract partially, but I didn't know if something that was actually put in as part of the stipulations to the contract or not. So I was just wondering if you'd happen to clarify that.
I don't remember.
If you're honest.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. That's it for me, Zach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it is on the contract. There you go. To the board. Yep. So there you go. So yes.
Okay, so yes, then, thank you.
I have another question.
Just a reminder to the public, if you do have a statement, if you could be called by the chair and then come up and state your name and address, just so it's for the record. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead and come on up to make your clarification.
First right of refusal.
Your
My name is
and-
Gregory Ducey.
Yeah.
My address is 139 Harvest Gate Boulevard, Groveland, Florida. And it's stated that they have a first right of refusal, but if they not willing to spend $67 to take it down and get rid of it, how are they going to be willing to spend $800 or $900 an additional fee to buy it when it's done and improved based upon what the new value of the property is? So my first statement of the first refusal really doesn't make any sense, given that
Understood.
they're improving the property.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, Robin, you were finished?
Finished. Thank you,
Okay.
Zach.
I'm increasingly thankful for my very thoughtful colleagues up here, because you've hit so many of my questions already.
You don't have another one?
I
I'm
just,
sure you can drum one up.
I just want to thank you all for being so thoughtful. I have a couple of other questions. And yeah, they're geared toward the special exemption, not the future land use, which is actually what we should be discussing at the moment. But is there any plan to increase the square footage? The documentation that we got to prepare for the meeting stated that it's renovating the existing building. So please clarify, we're not building on, we're not adding stories.
That's correct.
Okay. And there's like this big kind of porte-cochere type thing. Is that staying? Is it going? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm the seller's attorney. I think the answer is no, but I don't know. I couldn't swear on a stack of Bibles because I just don't know.
Okay, all right. Guys hit so many questions already. Yeah, so for clarification purposes, the HOA is the applicant. And then once this is all approved, it will be sold to this future buyer. Okay, all right. Thank you.
I have one more question, Brett.
Go ahead.
This might be devil's advocate. So if he just needs a place to hang his license, why this building? Why can't he just like do some 200 square foot office someplace?
I don't know. I haven't asked him that question. I'm not his attorney, but anything I would say would be speculation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay, as a reminder, we are on item number 3, which is the recommendation of approval on ordinance 2025-11. That is the Palisades Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, but are we taking them all three, or we're going one by one?
We're going one by one.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought, but then.
Yeah, that's
you
why I'm
mentioned
clarifying.
taking
This
them
is
all.
for the comprehensive plan amendment, which is to, it's not a rezoning, it's a change of future land use.
Sorry, changing
So, the
Rezoning's
future
the
land
next
use,
one.
we're voting to approve the change in future land use to low-density residential. Correct?
It's a future land use at first, and then it's the rezoning, and then there's the special exception that would be tied to the rezoning as the third item.
Okay.
And the special exception is the one where you'll see those staff recommended conditions.
My motion still stands.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. I will call for the vote. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Alicia?
Aye.
Michael? Aye. And the chair votes aye. Item number 4, recommendation of approval on ordinance 2025-12. Maria, will you please read the title?
This is ordinance 2025-12, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, to change the zoning from the Lake County PUD to City of Groveland low-density residential for the herein described property, owned by Palisades Homeowners Association, Inc., and located on Cherry Lake Road, Groveland, Florida, lying south of the intersection of Cherry Lake Road and West Upshaw Road, directing the city manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided after the passage of this ordinance, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for scrivener errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Booker.
So, yes, so now, like we were saying earlier, if you do a future land use, you got to have a rezoning, and they have to be compatible. So we're going to be talking about item number 4, ordinance 2025-12. I did mean to have one slide before, and that was just mentioning real quick, because everybody's in the room, that the property is in red. And if you were to go on the FEMA website, you would see it's technically in FEMA floodplain zone A, which stands for approximate. That means they did not do a detailed engineering study. That's why you can tell one way you can always tell that when the floodplain is wrong is if you notice to the right, there's a pond, and the pond is not in the floodplain. A pond is always flooded, so it's water. So that's when you know if things have changed, and the map is obviously 2012, but that doesn't even mean the data could be much older. So I just wanted to bring this attention that if you look a lot of the homeowners in the property, they got what's called a LOMA, which stands for Letter of Map Amendment. So if your property is located in the floodplain, it is best practice to see if you're on natural high grounds, which a lot of those homeowners happen to be, then you're technically outside. It does not revise the official map because only FEMA can revise their map, but it could help you in your flood insurance. So I did want to mention this because this will come into play when we talk about the building renovation and the building timeline, that the applicant will have to have a flood permit to document that they are indeed at a certain elevation. If not, there is a process that we have to go through and it's really important. You know, we don't want to be like some certain place in Texas. So moving on back to our item on the rezoning. So the applicant is Brent Jones, PA, and the existing future land use is Lake County Rural at this time, and the request, my apologies. No, there's a little typo. So, but the request is they want to go from a Lake County Plan Unit Development, PUD, to a low-density residential, LDR for short. So right now, like I said, they were a Lake County PUD, and we need to have something that's consistent with an R code. And the low-density residential is so one of the lower intensity, because the applicant could have requested much higher density. They could have gone for a full-blown commercial because they have a PUD. They could have explored other things, but they chose something that's on the lower density. So here's a more zoomed-in map. As we can see around the area, it's currently Lake County, the PUD, the Plan Unit Development, and to the north, you have one that's called MDR, which is Medium Density Residential, and we also have Lake County Agriculture directly to its north. So it's a little bit at the crossroad, but it is surrounded on three sides by Plan Unit Development, which is what it was historically. And then moving on to the staff recommendation that we've deemed the application sufficient for review and recommend approval of this ordinance 2025-12.
Thank you, Mr. Booker. Does the applicant wish to make a comment? Okay. Are there any public comments regarding this request?
Alan Joyce, address protected. It is funny. It's kind of hard to process when you're, I guess, when you're not living in Palisades. You see it from the perspective of Groveland saved them when they wanted 226 acres not rezoned and developed. And Palisades can't save us from a half acre. It's hard to understand that. At the same time, they had $1 million to fix up their clubhouse, but they can't spend $48. I got the $48 number. I got a hold of their minutes. I got all their minutes. And they have a quote in there from a contractor, $24,900. Divided by 522 homes is $48. So I didn't pull it out of thin air. When I see that map behind you where it shows the medium density residential, Groveland approved that, snuck it in, didn't let us know 10 years ago, changed that area. You don't see any medium density anywhere. It's there. I approached them on it and said, hey, where are the mailings? Oh, we ain't got the mailings. Sorry, next time we ain't gonna do that. And then now they base low density off this. So it basically, we made a mistake, now we're gonna keep going in that direction. So it's hard for us to swallow that. And that's supposed to be 5 rental units. They got 8 rental units there. You can go on the website and check out the place where they sold it. And that's what this is going to happen. The guy's going to fix it up, and he's going to flip it in 2 years and make his money. They ain't going to have them. There ain't no homeowners in Palisades say, oh, we want first refusal. We'll pay $2 million. They ain't going to do that. They don't pay $48. So it's very hard to swallow knowing that you stuck us once, you're going to stick us again. There's nothing we can do about it, but it's hard. It is hard to swallow. My mistake is I should have hired Brett Jones first, but I didn't know. I didn't know. But I just hope they can see our point of $1 million for your clubhouse, but we had to look at this thing for 5 years. Down the road, who knows what's going to happen, but they got 8 rental units there right across the street. They're only supposed to have 5. Staff has known about it for 4 years. I've been to them. I got emails. I've been to them. Nothing's happened. Nothing has happened. They got 8 units. Go count their mailboxes out front. They got 7 mailboxes right at the street. So this guy can say whatever he wants. I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have that. I'm going to do this, whatever. My experience has been Groveland won't enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment regarding the rezoning? Seeing none, public comment is closed. And we will have board discussion. And I will begin with you first, Stephen.
I asked my questions previously.
Okay. Michael? Lindsay?
Mr. Booker, can you just briefly tell us the difference between PUD zoning and low-density residential, like what the difference is that we're changing it from to, please?
So plan unit development, they have an existing agreement, they have a set density. Well, we'd have to look into what it was with Lake County versus the low density residential will be our code. Right now, it's a little bit it's not really in a good place to be because you're under Lake County plan unit development that Lake County made an agreement with that developer at the time and the county versus this will be covered by our code, and this is like a straight zoning, low-density residential. If that makes...
Yeah.
Just add to that, we as a city, we can't amend the Lake County PUD. So that's another one of the reasons why if we're going to be permitting any construction activity, we have to have it in a Groveland land use category.
Thank you.
Anything else? Lindsay? Okay. Alicia?
No further questions.
Okay. Robin? Okay. And the chair has no further items for discussion on the rezoning. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 2025-12?
I'll approve your motion, 2025-12.
Second.
Motion, and we have a second. I will call the vote now. Okay, we'll start with you, Robin.
Aye.
Alicia?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right, the last new business item is item number 5, the recommendation of approval on resolution 2025-37. Maria, will you please read the title?
Resolution 25-37, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, granting a special exception use in the low-density residential zoning district in the City of Groveland to allow for office use on the herein described property located on Cherry Lake Road in the City of Groveland, Florida, lying south of the intersection of Cherry Lake Road and West Abshaw Road and owned by Palisades Homeowners Association, Inc., providing for conditions, expiration, and revocation, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Booker?
Okay, so now moving on to the special exception use, resolution 2025-37. So once again, the applicant is Brett Jones, PA. The existing future land use is Lake County Rural. The proposed future land use is established neighborhood. And we have a request for a special exception use for this location highlighted in red. Once we talked about, once again, that is a low-density residential. We did talk about some of the conditions that are in the resolution, like I've taken a couple pictures on it where obviously this does not align with our natural charm, obviously. Building permit within 90 days approval of this resolution. Construction must commence within 120 days or within 30 days of issuance of this building permit by the city, whichever occurs first, and pursue with due diligence thereafter until complete. And construction must be complete within 12 months of approval of this resolution. Some site improvement, we mentioned a new paint for the entire building, installing new windows, doors, roof, lighting, and building, new landscaping, irrigation, keeping the fence except for back portion of fence is being repaired, replaced. I did get some public comments mentioning that they would love to see some better landscaping because that would align better with our natural charm. I mean, the road that it's on is really beautiful, beautiful. If you think about what's called the concept of scenic view shed, as you drive through, there's something special, but this is not. And so there might be a possibility maybe to see how it could blend better with some kind of landscaping. That was just a thought from the applicant. I mean, not the applicant, one of the comment that I received. And we went through this a little bit earlier with the staff recommendation. We mentioned that we recommended the office shall operate between 8 and 6 p.m., Monday to Friday. The use shall be limited to just a professional office operation with no outdoor storage or commercial vehicle parking. Site development shall be subject to site development plan review and complying with all the applicable design and zoning standards in the Community Development Code. Comply with our Florida vernacular style, architecture, and signage. A building permit within 90 days of approval of this resolution. Construction must commence within 120 days of approval or this resolution, or within 30 days of issuance of the building permit by the city, whichever occurs first, and pursue with due diligence thereafter until complete. Construction must be complete within 12 months of approval of this resolution. Let's conclude the presentation.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to make a comment? No? Do we have any public comment regarding the special exemption use? Come on, Alan.
Yeah, that's perfect. Kind of matches this here. Is there any way, because of our experience across the street and how Groveland has not enforced what is actually written, can they put a privacy hedge that goes from the front edge of that building? There's a berm here. One is 3 foot on this end. Can they make this a 3-foot berm? Put a privacy hedge that's 6 feet on top of that, like sweet viburnum, podocarpus, and have that maintained, irrigated, fertilized, so that in the future, when Groveland lets us down again, we don't have to come down our street and look at this building. This is what we see every day, as many times as you go in and out for years and years and years. And it's not enforced, so it's put a privacy hedge there, so if it's out of sight, it's out of mind for us too. They don't want it, they're gonna grow up their landscaping on their side. Can we have it on this side? That requirement. In addition, no signs, no displays, and very specific on the privacy hedge. The details that were given to Tim, I think earlier, it's very detailed, spelled out, so there's no questions about it. And then with the displays and no signs, no blow-ups that flow in the air and stuff, and then no parking in front of the fence line. And the fence line's on that photo behind you too, but no parking, so that we don't have a bunch of cars out here parked, and also no parking in the right-of-way. And you put up those signs every 50 feet that say no parking in right-of-way. Can I walk away with something? I need something. So, thank you.
Thank you. We have more public comment?
Hi, Susan Ducey, 139 Harborscape Boulevard, Groveland. You know, they were talking about that they voted to sell the property, and we don't have a problem with selling it as long as it stays residential. Yes, when we moved there, we did see a shed, but the shed was in decent shape, and it wasn't an eyesore. To think that having an office building there is going to be some beautiful thing to look at, it's not beautiful. We moved there because it was residential. We go, oh, there's a golf course over there. That's great. And now there's going to be an office building in there. No problem with selling it. Put a house in there and do it that way. But that doesn't deal with the traffic to have it, because could we have the entrance come through Palisades instead? Plus, there are ways that you can hang your shingle in your house. There is a different codes that you do that, you file it with the government, because I know I've worked from home and had a business in my home before. And so that could be done in his home. He doesn't need to have that. It's sort of like, you know, the Arabian thing is, once the camel gets his nose in the tent, you're gonna have the whole camel and you're not getting him out. They wanna do another lot split on the other side. We don't know what'll be there. And it's just growing and growing. And our neighborhood is right across the street. And it'll still have people turning around in our neighborhood if they miss that spot. And we have been told by other people that it can be a lawyer or, it could be a dentist. And so that would have more traffic coming in too and needing parking spaces. So I'd like to clarify that because I'm hearing, no, it won't be, yes, it can be. And it's very stressful that, we might have an office building across the street someday, because who knows how long he'll keep it. He could change it, he could sell it, and put another office building. And Palisades wants to, from what we heard at the meeting, I could be wrong, but it sounded like they want to do another lot split back there to do the same thing. And so it just seems like it's growing, and it stresses me out that we thought we had a residential area. It has signs all up and down, resident, resident. And now because they want to put an office building in there, it's very stressful to do that because that's not what we moved in. Yes, we saw a shed. It didn't look like that when we moved in. And we knew that it was for the Palisades, and that was fine. But now, with an office building, the lights on all night, and who knows coming in. I mean, we've already seen there's graffiti on there. So who's coming in? Don't know. Do they have to have security all the time? It's just very stressful because he could do his job from his house. He could legally do that from his house. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. We'll now have a discussion among the board. We'll begin with you, Stephen.
Just for the one comment that he made about the shrubs and number 1 on the page, can we get the applicant to speak on that? Is there already plans to put shrubs in the front, or is that amenable?
Sure, I mean, I'm not a cop, and I don't work for the city, but I don't think it's compliant with the city's code right now. Well, it's not, there's a code violation. But I don't think it's consistent with the city's landscaping code, so it'll have to be brought up to code.
Biddle?
Yep.
I'm gonna jump in real quick to clarify. Can you clarify that further, Brett? Are you saying it's currently not code compliant, or the request for a berm and a hedge is not code compliant?
No, I'm saying that, part of this whole thing is to get it, if you've driven by it, there's a hole in the roof. Part of the thing is get somebody who owns it, that cares about it's gonna take care of it, so it doesn't look like that photo with the graffiti and the hole in the roof. That's all a code violation. So,
for sure.
So to bring it up to the structural code, you have to make sure you comply with all the elements of the code. So it's like, and it'll be a significant renovation. You're a construction guy, you know more than I am. So when you go to get that building permit, you have to check all the other boxes for all the other parts of the code, which includes the landscaping section, which the city's working on an enhanced. It'll be the strictest landscape code. It's not adopted yet, but if it gets adopted, great. We would agree to make compliance with that code, even though it's not yet adopted part of it. I think it's gonna be a great landscaping code. So it's gonna exceed what was, unfortunately, I'm a landscaping fanatic. It's my pastime, as some of you know, and this is good, but the code that you're gonna have is much better, and I wouldn't use some of the stuff in here, but absolutely have an enhanced landscaping aspect of it is completely fine.
Yeah, I think that's just the clarification I was trying to make, is that we do have a landscaping code, and whether this meets it, we can't speak to that right now. So we can't require that this is part of our conditional approval.
No, but we could say, because they're willing to live under the new landscape code, we can add that unless it's already been added by.
I think that would present challenges due to the timeline, right? Because the city would have to approve this new code, and yet we're holding them to a construction deadline.
Of 12 months.
That would be a challenge, I think.
Mr. Chair, just throwing out an idea, just in fairness, if the applicant's okay with this, but you could direct, as part of a condition of approval, direct staff to work with the applicant to determine the feasibility of some of these conditions, if this could be built in between now and when it's heard at the city council meeting. And just in fairness to the applicant, because this is the first time that they're seeing it today, and that we have not done a full comparison against our landscape code to see if there's, could potentially be any conflicts.
Sure.
And I'm more than happy to work with, I can guess who it's going to be for staff to work with on this. I think this is a really valiant effort. It's not, it doesn't match up with what I know of the proposed code. Your proposed code is actually better than this. So I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you. Is that all you have? Steve?
Yeah, I think that's a happy medium.
Okay.
Because I understand, like,
maybe
being a
someone make a
resident, I
note.
would be upset with looking at it for this long too, so.
Sure, yeah.
And full disclosure, I have talked to the buyer, even though I'm not the buyer's attorney, and I told him he's going to have an enhanced landscape element, and he's fine with it.
Great. All right, Michael?
I was going to ask what Stephen asked, so we're good.
Okay. Lindsay?
I just wanted to make a comment that I would prefer that they do like more native landscaping, because we know that irrigation, especially if you're gonna be connected to city sewer, that's just gonna eat up a lot of that, so yes to native landscaping. And can we kind of recommend doing dark sky lighting, since we are,
Requirement.
It is a requirement.
Can't not do that.
okay, good.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify for the residents that were concerned about lights being on, dark sky lighting will prevent them from being like say, what's that gas station in the middle of town that has the bright lights that I hate?
All of them?
Yeah. It won't be like that.
Maybe don't name them by name.
I won't name them, but it won't be like that. They have to be pointed down, correct? Great, that's it. That's all I wanted.
Okay, Alicia?
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off of that, like if the city could kind of work with the applicant or the person who's going to be purchasing the property to maintain that, or to make it in some such way that meets our code, but also prevents it from being kind of like that eyesore, to Alan's point about not going by and driving by and seeing it all the time, whether it could be hedge or something like that to prevent it from, being so unappealing. And then also, it's my understanding that they would continue to be the maintenance, that they would continue the maintenance on that as well. So like if that's fertilizing or whatever case that it might be, that they would have to be responsible for that too.
Yeah, maintenance is part of your code. If you
Okay.
plant something and it dies and you're not code compliant, code compliance office could say you're out of compliance.
Compliance,
So
yeah.
it's part of that mechanism.
Sure, okay. That's it.
Thank you. Robin?
Myself, you know me, I like to keep buildings when we can instead of knocking them down and building new ones. So for the infill aspect of this, I'm a fan of bringing it up to today's codes and possibly future codes for landscaping and dark sky. Code compliance is a big thing for me. Obviously, this hasn't been in code compliance for a long time. It seems like a lot of people out there could have at any point in time called code enforcement and put in and for anything in your neighborhood. Be mindful of that. Feel free to call and file a complaint, but just remember, you can't do anything anonymous anymore. You have to put your name and your address on record. So feel free to utilize that, because again, code compliance is something that you report, not necessarily something that's visually seen by our one code enforcement officer. According to everything, the existing infrastructure that is there currently is enough for this special exemption, correct? I know that there's mentions of signs, but Mr. Jones said that that's impossible not to have a sign out there, so that will meet our current code requirement as well. Once this is under contract with the new owner, the Palisades have absolutely no say to any of their HOA bylaws, what goes on this property. The land it completely changes over. So once this is done, Palisades is literally out. So if we don't approve, or if it's not approved today, what would be the alternative to this special exemption today if this board wasn't to approve it, or to city council? I'm just curious to see what the alternatives would be.
Sure, where we started with a more intense request, because I look at the code and then I talk to staff and sometimes the city attorney and say, how do we achieve this goal? And so the request was a bigger, and I would say more intense request. And then through working with staff, because this has taken a little bit longer timeline than normal just to get it right, we realized we could do the low-density residential, because you might say, why low-density residential if you want to put a guy that hang a shingle in his office? So it's because that allows, with a special exception, for him to achieve his purpose, but it's like the least intense thing you can do. And somebody, I think Alan Booker referenced it, and we could have asked, why don't you ask for a commercial or some other thing? The other thing that's interesting about your code, and I know that you know this, but I'll say this for the benefit of everybody sitting up there, is you have a form-based code, so you're more concerned with scale of things, and do they match size and design-wise, and since the building's already there, and it kind of is the size of the other houses around it, it already matches. So just working with staff, we narrowly tailored the request to be as small as possible to achieve it. So if it didn't go through, I would just go back and make a bigger request like I had originally made until staff enlightened me.
I also just want to add that this is a code compliance case right now too. And next step in the process would be going to the special magistrate for a decision at that point if this failed approval at the city council level.
Okay, thank you, Robin. I do have a few questions regarding special exemption. So are there currently design professionals working on architectural MEP and civil drawings?
No, not yet. The next thing that's going to happen, because the structure's already there, so I'm going to make some recommendations to people that I know understand this code and that want to work in this code, which, as you know, is a small group of designers and architects, and send the buyer in that direction so that its man doesn't have 17 different revisions dealing and really frustrate the building department, to make a long story short. So I know a handful of people that could get it on day one, right? So that's how I'm going to steer him.
Yeah, that you're cutting to the chase, which you said. I'm a construction guy. I know what it's like going back and forth. My concern with the I have a concern about the timeline here. I'm all in favor of the 12-month. It's got to be done and built and finished. I think that the 90 days building permit is a little bit aggressive, and the 120 days to start construction's probably fine. But you know, you're going to have time to hire the people and get on their calendar and make the drawings and send them into the building department and so on. Another question I have is, I mean, I've gone through the letter of map revision stuff with FEMA myself, and it is long, intensive. I mean, yeah, it's long. It's not necessarily intensive, but it's long. So, you know, I think that's an outside factor that could affect this special exemption. And I don't want to approve this and just set the applicant up for failure right out the gate. So I would maybe when this gets to city council, reword some of these timelines a little bit. I would encourage staff to work directly with the applicant to determine exactly what needs to be done on the property before this goes to city council, so that, you know, we don't get a curveball where now we got to do civil plans and we got to hire somebody to do that, and then that's 6 months before that guy even gets it drawn up. So that's really where my concern comes from, is that, hey, if we're going to do this and we're going to clean up the area and we're going to make it look pretty and all that, let's set everybody up for success. Okay. Regarding the parking signs, those are really small, so not too concerned about that. The as you mentioned, the office use does comply in our code with LDR. It is allowed as a special exemption. Just for clarification for everybody, it's not, you know, if you have an LDR zoning, you can't ask for a special exemption to do light industrial work there. So I just want to clarify that this does comply. We've already, you know, City Council thought about this years ago, that, hey, there's an opportunity that this may come up. My last thing that I would mention to staff, because I won't be the one making the motion, but I'll throw it out there. I'd request that there not be any increase in the number of stories of the building as part of the special exemption use permit. That's what I'd like to see. I drove by there just before this meeting. I drive by there all the time, but when you come down that hill and you look over the building past the eyesore, it's really beautiful. And we want to try to keep it that way if tearing it down is not an option. So that's all I have.
I have one more thing.
Yes.
I always do, don't I? This is like a question comment, I guess. So hypothetically, we don't approve the special exception use, and let's just say Palisades doesn't sell to your applicant, they sell it to some random person, and they, now that it's low-density residential, can build a house. This house, this person who buys this plot of land would not be under an HOA, correct? It would just be their land, right? So they could technically do whatever they wanted within city code, like a purple house.
Yes, there's a world
That's
in which
3
that could-
stories.
Yeah, and your code allows for more than one story.
Okay, I
so-
just wanted to just make that comment / hypothetical. Okay. Just wondering.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones. Do we have a motion to approve, check the number, Resolution 2025-37? And are there any conditions of that motion?
Yeah, we have a few. So I would move to approve with what our staff said about working with the applicant before it comes to city council level, with trying to incorporate as much of the items that were brought up as possible. And then, did you want to add anything else?
Well, it's your motion.
Well, because you mentioned the stories, but that can't happen currently, so I don't know if we have to add that. I don't think we would have to add that to it.
Well, maybe Anita can speak to whether a special exemption use can limit another facet of our building code.
I'll acquiesce to it, Nita. I'll acquiesce just to clean up the, I would like to work with Andrew or whomever that works for Tim that is working on that code to agree to the specific provisions that will be hopefully adopted in the future, just to make it tight, because I think he wants a tight motion.
I think we were talking about something, yeah, he was mentioning the stories.
Okay.
But it
Well,
it
I'll
can
agree to that.
already only be one, so I didn't think we had to add that to it.
LDR does allow multiple stories.
Yes, the LDR does allow more.
So
Yeah,
do we want to?
I'd like to limit it to one.
So with the stipulation, so I would move to approve with the stipulation of staff working with the applicant for the enhanced code and limiting the structure to 1 story.
I second that motion.
Great motion, Stephen. All right, we have a motion and we have a second. I'll take the vote, beginning with Stephen.
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Alicia?
Aye.
Robin?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, moving on to next segment here is public comment on, not on this item, but public comment on any other planning items. Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed. Do we have any comments from our planning and zoning board members? I'll call each of you by name, just let me know yes or no. Robin?
No, not at the moment, thank you.
Okay, Alicia?
No.
Lindsay?
No.
Michael?
No, thank you.
Stephen?
No.
And, well, I do have a comment, and I want to thank Alan for working so diligently to beef up the reports that we're getting and providing some useful tools via email. So just want to give you a attaboy, doing great. Yeah, please keep up the good work. That's all I have. Do we have any comments from our staff?
I just want to say thank you to the board for your time spent on this, providing us your recommendations that we'll bring to council. I also want to give a special thank you to the public, Bruce Berger with the HOA, but Alan Joyce, although he's a county resident and not a city, when we talk about our strategic plan and being an informed and engaged community, I think his involvement echoes the spirit of that plan. And even though sometimes we all don't get the outcomes we necessarily hope for out of these meetings, it's important for us to be engaged and provide feedback in the way that he did tonight. So I want to commend him and the neighbors for that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Shows that you care. Mr. Booker, do you have any comments?
Just one last quick comment. I just want to share the good news that on July 7, our city council has executed the service agreement with Wilden. So what this is about our comprehensive plan update. It's an evaluation appraisal report. So if you recall, we talk about comprehensive plan as the vision. So it's the opportunity to kind of check in to see how we're doing, and there's going to be some update, and there will be opportunity for the public to engage, because your comments and feedbacks are extremely important, because we're building the vision, and the vision, it's us, it's the community. So please come to those meetings. That everything will be, there will be advertisement. It's going to be posted on our website. So please come and participate, because this is a really important process. Thank you.
Thank you. Anita?
Just briefly, there have been a number of legislative changes that were enacted that affect the land use, and so maybe at the next meeting, we can give you an update on what some of those changes are. So we're working on those.
Okay, thank you. Maria? Any administrative? Okay. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 6:43 p.m.
Well done, folks.
Thank you. I'll talk to you tomorrow at some point.
Yes.